For most of human history, the brain evolved in environments that were slow, predictable, and built around small groups of people. Our ancestors woke with the sun, hunted, gathered, rested, and shared stories around the fire. Threats were rare but obvious: an approaching predator, a dangerous storm, an unknown rival tribe. Anxiety, in those contexts, was a survival tool. It kept the body alert when life truly depended on it. But the modern world is nothing like the world the brain was designed for. And quietly, relentlessly, this mismatch has pushed millions of people into a state of chronic anxiety without them even realizing it. Today, the brain is constantly bombarded by signals that it misinterprets as danger. Every vibration of a phone, every notification, every alert, every red bubble icon triggers a microsurge of stress hormones. The amygdala, the brain's threat detector, can't distinguish between a message from a friend and a warning of something harmful. All it knows is that something demands attention. Something might be urgent. Something could be wrong. And so it reacts. Again. And again. And again. Individually, these alerts feel small. But to the nervous system, they are dozens of possible threats per hour. And over time, that repeated activation conditions the brain into a constant state of vigilance, a low-level readiness to fight or flee. Many people don't even notice it happening. They simply feel tense, restless, unable to relax, unable to disconnect, unable to breathe fully. They don't realize that their brain has been trained to expect danger in a world where danger now comes disguised as routine life. Adding to this is the fact that modern stressors are unique, they're invisible. Our ancestors ran from predators, we run from thoughts. From bills. From emails. From expectations. From uncertainty. And the brain finds these abstract threats even harder to handle. You can't escape a worry. You can't fight an algorithm. You can't hide from an unstable economy or an overwhelming news cycle. So the brain stays on guard, waiting, anticipating, scanning. But it never finds a clear target. Which means it never shuts off. This constant hypervigilance activates the body's stress response system, the HPA axis, over and over, releasing cortisol in steady doses. When cortisol stays elevated for too long, the body falls out of balance. Sleep becomes shallow. Muscles remain clenched. Heart rate rises. Digestion changes. Concentration declines. And the mind begins to ruminate, replaying scenarios, predicting outcomes, imagining worst-case situations not because they are likely, but because the brain is desperately trying to prepare for something it can't name. And then comes the fragmentation of attention. Modern life steals our focus. Every task is interrupted. Every moment is split. People switch between apps, screens, thoughts, and obligations at a pace the human mind was never built to handle. When attention fractures, the brain interprets it as chaos, as if something dangerous is happening. It becomes harder to complete tasks, harder to think clearly, harder to make decisions. And the harder it becomes, the more anxious the mind gets. A loop forms. A loop that exhausts the self from the inside out. But perhaps the most powerful amplifier of modern anxiety is uncertainty. Research shows that unpredictability activates the same brain regions as physical pain. And we are living in the age of unpredictability. The job market shifts overnight. Technology evolves faster than people can adapt. Relationships are often unstable, transient, digital. Global crises unfold in real time. Everything is fast. Everything is unstable. Everything feels like it could change without warning. The brain, trying to survive in this environment, overcompensates. It increases its threat sensitivity. It becomes reactive. It becomes jumpier. It becomes more fearful, not because people are weaker today, but because the world is less predictable than ever. All of this forms the perfect storm, thousands of tiny stress signals layered throughout the day. None of them catastrophic on their own. But together, they create chronic internal turbulence. The kind that slowly erodes resilience, motivation, clarity, and the ability to feel calm without external reassurance. And there is one more layer, one that makes modern anxiety fundamentally different from that of any previous era: isolation disguised as connection. We are surrounded by people online but deprived of genuine human presence. Conversations have become shorter. Eye contact has become rarer. Emotional validation, something the brain needs to regulate fear, has been replaced by emojis, likes, and superficial interactions. Without real social connection, the brain loses one of its most important tools for grounding reality. A worried mind left alone for too long becomes louder, darker, and more catastrophic. And anxiety grows not just from overstimulation, but from the absence of the one thing that could calm it: human connection. So the anxiety we see today is not a flaw in individuals. It is the natural response of an ancient brain trying to survive in a chaotic, unpredictable, hyperconnected, hyperstimulating world. A brain designed for campfires trying to process a digital universe. A threat system built for predators trying to decode notifications, deadlines, expectations, and silent pressures that never end. And the most unsettling part is this: anxiety doesn't announce itself when it begins. It accumulates. It slowly rewires the body. Until one day, someone wakes up and realizes they've been living in survival mode for years.